Hey everybody! I'm here today to show you how to replace an extension cord end. This will be an easy tutorial, so let's get right into the video. First and foremost, safety always comes first. Make sure that your extension cord is not plugged into anything at all. These are both sides of the same extension cord, and it's not plugged into anything. I know that you probably already know that, but I figured that I would say it anyways. Make sure that it's not plugged into anything at all, and make sure you feel comfortable working with this kind of electrical stuff. As you can see, I have the male end of the extension cord, and what happened was the ground prong actually came out. So I want to replace this end, okay? Now, if you're replacing the male end, you're going to want to replace it with the male extension cord end, okay? If you are replacing the female end, which is the other side over here, you're going to want to replace it with the female end. Obviously, you know, it makes sense. You want to have the direct replacement for what you're replacing. Also, look at the gauge rating and make sure that it suits the cord that you're actually replacing. So what you want to do is, first and foremost, you want to remove the end that you will be replacing. So I'm going to take my pliers right here. We're going to just cut this off right over here, just like that, okay? I'm going to get that end. It just fell on the floor. Sorry about that. All right. So what we have here is we have an end of an extension cord, and it does not have an end on it, okay? So what we need to do is we need to strip back a little bit of this rubberized sheathing over here. So I'm going to take my my box cutter, and you want to carefully strip this back, okay? So you don't want to cut any of the insulation on the wires inside. So just take your box cutter and carefully do this. Even if you have to work really, really slowly, you don't want to cut any of the insulation of the wires inside. You just want to cut this exterior insulation. So as you can see right here, I haven't cut any of the wires inside, which is really, really good, okay? You want to peel back a decent amount of it. Let's just go ahead and continue peeling this back to expose the wires inside. And I'll tell you what the colors mean and how to use them, okay? So, all right, that should be good enough. It's always better to get rid of a little bit extra, because then you can always cut the wires at the end if you realize that you expose too much wiring. So I have that much wiring exposed. That should be more than enough, okay? So now what we're gonna do is very simple and straightforward. Let's get rid of this excess over here to get a nice clean surface to work with. Once again, always be sure that you are not damaging the insulation of the wires inside. Now, before we continue, you have three wires. There's going to be a green wire, which is your ground wire. There's going to be a black wire, which is your hot or power wire. And there's going to be a white wire, which is your neutral wire. They all serve different purposes. Now, we have our extension cord replacement end over here. The first thing that we're going to do is we are going to take it apart. So I want to actually remove this component right here first. So you just got to loosen the three screws on the top. There might be 3 screws, there might be 4, there might only be 2, but basically there's going to be some screws where you see the prongs, or the if it's a female end, you see sort of the receptacle part. You want to obviously remove those screws, okay? Once the screws are removed, that top piece pops off. This is where you're going to connect the wires to. This is the part where this wiring is going to go through. So I'm also going to loosen this right here, because there's a little clamp over here, and I want to loosen it. Once it's loose, I can sort of feed the wire through here. So I'm going to take these wires, I'm going to feed them through here, all 3 of those wires over there, and then I'm also going to feed this little orange wire through there. You want all of that orange, or whatever color your extension cord is. Sometimes they're blue, sometimes they're black, sometimes they're green. Whatever the case is, you want all of that to go through so that what you see is the color of the outside. Okay? And we're going to tighten up these screws just like that. So let's tighten up these screws to clamp it down in place just like that. Very, very simple and straightforward. All right, so we've tightened these screws down. It's not tight enough yet. As you can see, I'm pulling it in and out. It's not tight enough yet. Tighten it more, okay? You want this to be absolutely secure, okay? I feel like I'm using a screwdriver that is slightly off, but it's gonna work, okay? Once again, it's not secure enough. We're gonna tighten it a little bit more. Like I said, you literally cannot tighten this enough, okay? You really wanna make sure it's not going anywhere. Tighten these a little bit more. Tighten these down just a bit more, we should be good to go. All right, so now it's nice and secure in there, it's nice and snug, we're good to go. So what we're gonna do next, I'm just gonna make sure we're really in there, we're good to go. So, you know, if you give it a pull, it's not going anywhere, you should be good. If you really wanna be sure, give it another crank or two, like I said, you can't be too sure. I've seen many times where people do this and they don't tighten it enough, and you're gonna have to redo the thing, and it leads to potentially dangerous situations. So once you're good to go, this is not going anywhere now, okay? So we have these three wires that are through. I was gonna say these through wires. These three wires that are through the portion right there. These are the wires that are gonna connect to the screws on here. Now we have to actually strip the insulation of these wires back. So what I have here is a set of just some wire strippers. You want to get the correct gauge, and you can experiment to see what it is like, but all you need is just a little bit. I'll demonstrate it. I don't even know the number that we're looking for, but the number of centimeters or millimeters, but I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna strip this off, as you can see, and I'll show you how much wire you need. Okay, like if you strip a little too much, it's totally fine too, because you can always cut it back, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and strip it. See, that's a little too little. I need a little bit more than that. So what we're gonna continue going a little bit further. It's not a big deal. Like I said, if you have a little too much, you can always just cut the wire after. So we are going to twist it. That's how you strip the wire, and pull it. Once again, we're going to twist it, okay, like that, and pull it. There we go. So that's probably about enough, okay? And with every wire that you strip off, you're gonna twist it with your fingers like that. Make it a nice solid wire. If there are strands like you saw right there, you wanna make it a nice solid wire. Do the same thing with the other wires. So all three wires get stripped. Now you might have, instead of a green wire, you might have a bare copper wire in there, and that's the same thing. A ground wire is essentially a bare copper wire. This one has just been coated with a green insulation around it, which is completely normal. Either way is fine. It all depends on where you live and which brand of extension cord you're getting. So once again, I'm having a little bit of difficulty stripping these off. I don't know why. I've never had this much difficulty stripping wires, but basically you want to strip off that much, then twist it. Okay, now we're gonna move on to the black wire right over here. Last one. I know it's a painstaking process watching this. You're like, oh, this is so boring. I know it is, but you know what? Safety comes first. You wanna do everything properly, okay? It's absolutely crucial and critical that you are safe when you do this. Come on, let's get this going over here. Come on, let's get this going. So like I said, I really don't know why. I believe that I'm using the right gauge on the wire stripper, and I am. As you can see, they weren't cutting. I guess I've used them for so long. So, all right, continuing on. Now we have our three wires. They're exposed. The insulation has been pulled back, and we have these screws on here. Now you're gonna see three screws on here. Now they might be labeled, okay? But basically the green screw, whoo, sorry, I lost that right there. The green screw is for the ground wire, hence the green screw and the green wire, okay? So the green wire, or the bare copper wire, the ground wire, gets connected to the green screw, okay? There's gonna be two other screws. One's gonna be brass colored and one's gonna be silver colored, okay? The brass colored screw gets connected to the hot wire, okay? The brass colored screw gets connected to the hot power wire, which is the black wire. You can remember the B connects to the B. The black wire connects to the brass screw. And then the white wire connects to the silver screw, the silver colored screw. So what we're gonna do now, to make sure the cord doesn't fly away from us again, is I'm going to connect these wires right over here. So we're gonna start off with the ground wire, and you can use a screwdriver to sort of loosen up the screw. You're gonna get your ground wire and connect it to your green screw, okay? You wanna basically allow the screw to hold it in place. Now there are various ways to do this. Some people like to put it inside of the terminal. Some people like to put it outside of the terminal. It's kind of up to you, whatever you think is best. But I will tell you, make sure that wire is indeed gripping the screw. So I'm gonna loosen this up. We're gonna see if we can put it inside of the terminal over here. That's the goal, okay? I loosen this up. We're gonna see if we can get it inside of the terminal. Like I said, some people like to wrap it around the screw, some people like to wrap it around the terminal, but you wanna make sure it's not gonna fit in the terminal in this one. No problem, it happens sometimes. You basically wanna make sure that wherever you are putting it, it is tightly secured by the screw. So right here, I am putting it around the screw, okay? Just like that. And we're gonna make sure that it's nice and tightly secured by the screw. I'll show you in just a second over here. Let's tuck it in place. So I basically wrapped it around the screw, and I'm gonna tighten this screw down, Okay, make sure that screw is holding that wire down. I'm going to try one more time. Having a little bit of difficulty with this specific one over here. We're going to try one more time. I'm going to loosen this up. We're really going to try and get this into the post. Okay, let's see if we can get it into the post properly. There we go. It should go in. A little bit more loosening and I should have enough space. So, green wire gets connected to the green screw. Very simple. Okay, it's kind of hard to mess that one up. Green wire gets connected to the green screw. When it's in place, tighten up that screw. Make sure that the screw is holding the wire down. Okay, and we're ready to move on. There we go. Now make sure that the screws, like I said, holding down that wire nice and tightly. Okay, next up, the black power wire gets connected to the brass screw. Okay, like I said, black gets connected to the brass. So what we're going to do is loosen that screw. Okay, we're going to get that black wire. We're going to tuck it down in place. So as you can see, I'll show you what I'm doing right here. There is a little gap between the bracket right there. I'm taking the black wire. I'm tucking it down in place right here. Okay, then I am going to be tightening this screw up. All right. Ideally, you want to have as little of the wiring exposed as possible. You want basically all the wiring to be connected in that terminal. Next up, we are getting the white wire, and we are connecting the white wire to the silver colored screw. So we're getting the white wire, connecting it to the silver colored screw. I'm going to take the white wire, tucking it down into the silver colored screw area over there. Like I said, as little of the exposed wiring as possible being exposed. We're going to tighten up that silver screw. Just nice and tightly. You really want to tighten these down, okay? You really want to tighten these down really tightly. You don't want them to be at risk of moving at all or loosening. So once you've ensured that you've tightened down all of the screws, all that we have left to do, I poked myself from just a little strand of wire right there, but it's all good. Take the wires, tuck them down into the extension cord end right there, and we're just going to basically tighten up the screws over here. And when you take the wires and tuck them down, make sure they're not like interfering with any screws or anything like that. Ideally, you want to leave maybe a little bit less wiring than this if you can, but I mean, it's all good at the end of the day, as long as it gets in there nice and tightly. So what you want to do is get your end here. You want to get your screwdriver, wrong screwdriver, I'm working with too many over here, and you want to tighten these down. Now, like I said, make sure that everything is tucked in nicely, and you should be able to tighten them down really easily, just like that. As you can see right here, we are tightening these down. That's it. We've replaced an extension cord end. Very simple and straightforward. I've shown you exactly how to do it. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think down below as a comment. And of course, be sure to subscribe for more great videos just like this one. And that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching.